Paddy McConnell, father of 7 children, visited his wife in Mountjoy jail yesterday, just as he's called on her every week for the past 6 months. She's in jail for contempt of court because of squatting on a County Meath farm.
Well, she's on the best farm. Said that she'd be sick several days.
Did she give you any idea whether she'd be out for Christmas?
She says didn't think she'd be out for Christmas. Carnaross she had. See?
She's not willing to give up her fight then?
No, she's not. But she said that she thought the Land Commission might come to some agreement in the near future, you know.
But that this mightn't necessarily be before Christmas?
No, I don't think so.
Carnaross, 3 miles from Kells, a Land Commission farm of 61 acres cut out of a big estate. It was meant for a migrant, but he never got it. It has been occupied since January by the McConnell family. Their protest against what they call the discrimination in the distribution of land, a principle Mrs. Ann McConnell has gone to jail for. Paddy McConnell and his brother Eugene are officially landless men. Officially, they have no rights to land. Still, Paddy has been applying for land for 18 years. He never got any, though his applications have always been under consideration. Paddy McConnell's strongest claim to land is based on the belief that the Land Commission took over the family farm on the understanding they would get another in return. They never did, and they don't know why.
We went to the Land Commission several times, and when we told them about this land they're taking off my father, they ignored it. They maintained that they have no rights whatsoever of it. Still the land is there.
Did you consult any solicitors about it?
We consulted the solicitor that McConnell set down the years, and he held the whole documents which required of all this land, deeds, last will and testimony, the whole lot. And when we went to the solicitor, he just told us straight that he had no record of it.
The McConnells have not been able to clarify their claim. As we understand it, their family land was reclaimed by the Land Commission because it was not being worked, because part of it had been sold, because the McConnell's father contravened Land Commission policy in an era of a huge demand for land. So Paddy McConnell pursues the claim on his wife's side. She was born in a now derelict house at Lighttown, 3 miles from Kells, and owns 5 acres there. He and his wife applied for land here. They did not get land.
7 generations of Mrs. McConnell's family lived in this little holding here at my back. And about 10 years ago, they were offered a holding of land on condition that they went to live in that derelict house there. Well, at the time, Mrs. McConnell's eldest child, May, had just come home from the sanatorium, having been 2 years there, recovering from tuberculosis. And Mrs. McConnell said that she would not put her child's health at risk for 100 acres of land.
The house is derelict now. Was it derelict 10 years ago?
Of course it was. Nobody had lived in the house for 8 years prior to that time. But Paddy McConnell had used that house, the same as every farmer uses the old dwelling house, for pigs and calves and bullocks and that. And the place was just a cowshed at the time that the Land Commission asked them to bring their family in to live in it. You could not justify the Land Commission's refusal of land to this family. They qualify in every way. But apparently somebody has a vendetta against them. And we in the Land League are going to fight this to the very bitter end.
But you have no proof of that.
How can you prove something against an organisation as secretive as the Land Commission? They don't tell people. They don't tell people what their motives are. They don't tell people what the rules are when they divide land. And in fact, we have asked them time and time again to meet people, to consult with the local people, with the local community.
The Land Commission, of course, very easily justified its refusal of land. As the McConnells refused to move to the old homestead and continue to live 13 miles away, they were not entitled to land in the area. They were outside the policy distance, the mandatory mile. The derelict house was their own problem. Inevitably, against the growing militancy of the small farmers, the McConnells joined the Land League.
In October 1970, I formed a branch of the Land League in Kilbeg. The McConnells were members of that branch. In December, the branch met the Minister for Lands, Mr. Flanagan, on a deputation concerning the division of the Drakerath estate, about 600 statute acres. And Paddy McConnell, as well as all the other members of that branch, understood that the Minister was going to have a new assessment made of land needs in that area. And this gave the McConnells hope that their case, of course, would be dealt with in a constitutional way.
What factors finally led to the squatting?
The McConnells understood that a migrant was coming up to this farm and taking up residence here within 4 or 5 days of the time that they squatted. And they moved into the house rather than possibly, I suppose, be so humiliated that they were being refused a portion of land when somebody from 150 miles away seemed to have no difficulty whatsoever in coming into this bungalow on this farm. They asked me, would I support the action? And under the circumstances, I thought that, considering the number of times they had been refused a portion of land, that maybe this was the only action that would get results for the McConnells. And I did back them, and I have no regrets about it.
Paddy and Ann McConnell and their 7 children moved into occupation of the Land Commission holding at Carnaross on the morning of January 24. It was Mrs. McConnell who claimed responsibility for the action and who declared to the Land Commission that the 19 cattle grazing on the farm belonged to her. Because of this, she was charged with squatting on the lands and breaking into the house.
We came in of a Monday morning, see, and myself and the wife and some of the family came in. We came to the front door and it was a latch key, you know. They were around to the back door and he the wife touched the knob and walked in. There was groceries in the house. We came in, bag of coal, and went into the dining room. There was a fire lit in the dining room. So we took over from that. No one came out that night, but the next day the Land Commission lads was down, 2 Land Commission officials. See, and I wasn't here, they were talking to the wife. Wife talked out the windows them, see. So told her they wanted to get in, that they weren't going to throw her out, you know. So she told them the whole thing, the way it started. We never were told to get out till the summers at Camp G. It was tight in court. Like, told her first that would she be willing to pay rent for it. And she said she would, a considerable amount of rent, see. And that she was well fit to stock it and all this. So they were up and down, the Land Commission was nearly every second day, Mr. Malaya, Mr. McCall, you know, in and out, but we got no information on what they were going to do till she had summoned.
Mrs. McConnell appeared before 5 courts and refused to leave the holding until the Land Commission gave her 20 acres on which to graze her cows. The Commission made no such deal. Though the Land League prevented her being removed from the house, she went to jail in July in contempt of a court order to leave the farm. She's been in jail since.
But were you surprised when you discovered that your wife would have to go to jail?
Yeah, I was shocked, all right.
Did you think that your wife would have to go to jail if you didn't get out?
I didn't think she'd have to go to, no.
Did you ever consider the possibility of having to go to
I
jail?
thought that, like, we came in here, we weren't, like, covering this place. We only came in for the Land Commission to come to some agreement, give us a bit of land and swear, see.
In other words, you didn't intend to stay here forever?
No, we would if we got, see. But we didn't come in to grab it like that, see. We came in for and come to agreement with the Land Commission.
There was no agreement. In fact, the McConnells have been occupying the farm for almost a year. There is no light, heat, or water in the house.
We approached the local health authorities here in County Meath, and while they were very sympathetic, apparently they came up against officialdom again. The Land Commission said, we have terrible sympathy for these little children, but we are not going to allow the electricity to be switched on. In other words, punishing the children, really, we thought was unfair.
But this didn't really surprise you, I take it, in view of the fact that the action is illegal in the first place.
Well, it did surprise me. That surprises me, that attitude to punish little children like you see here, because we, or the McConnells, might be wrong. We may be doing something illegal, But my God, this is supposed to be a Christian country, and children should not be victimised and punished for, to the extent that they haven't even a drop of water to wash themselves. That's wrong. I don't consider that squatting is the greatest crime a person can commit. If you are forced to take this type of action by the law, if the law is twisted or bent against you, I suppose you're forced to break the law. If you have no other way to show your protest, you almost inevitably come up against this thing that you will have to break the law.
But is the local Land League stand over the McConnell squatting justified in spite of Brendan Lynch's rhetoric? According to National Land League President Paddy O'Donnell, it is not. It's a sham fight, he says, without the sanction of the League. In fact, the National Land League made clear their opposition in a letter to the Land Commission which was read out in court against Mrs McConnell. This action and the refusal of national backing has deeply angered Lynch and split the movement. The Land League boomed in Meath because of speculation and the migrant policy. The small farmers backed the McConnells.
It was always the lot of the small farmer and the landless man in Meath to look on at the migrants taking the cream, let us say, of his own county. We do not discriminate against migrants. We have time and again pointed out that when the legitimate local needs are met, we will welcome any migrant that the Land Commission brings into an area. And I am quite proud to be, as a migrant myself, to be associated with this fight to get a little measure of justice for the common people of Meath.
Well, why is it that the National Land League will not support this action?
There was a serious difference between Paddy O'Donnell, the president of the Land League, and some of us here, particularly in County Meath. I thought that if the people of the County Meath, the small farmers, had to go in and squat in a house, then it was up to the Land League to back them in that action. Paddy O'Donnell, on the other hand, believed that every action should be decided by them in Dublin or Mullingar, and then that the local people should sort of obey their wishes. My view was the local branch decides what the action must be, and the heads of the Land League must back them up in this. But instead of backing us up here in Meath, they betrayed us.
The McConnell squatting has the elements of a Greek tragedy. They don't want the land on which they squat, but they won't give up until the Land Commission come to an agreement. This is why Mrs McConnell is not yet prepared to purge her contempt. The people of Carnaross want her released. They have sent a petition to the Land Commission. The Land Commission would like a compromise, but can't afford to be seen to give in to pressure. In their view, there are too many other cases where this could happen. So Mrs McConnell stays in jail, intransigent. She stayed there, despite a Land League picket, when she was not released for her brother's funeral 3 months ago. She probably will be there for Christmas.